Yeah, I really thought the Viltrumites were indestructible space Hitlers before watching the second episode of season 4. So pretty much in the new season of Invincible, it's called like I'll take you on a grand tour, and Alan the Alien he basically takes Omni-Man on a grand tour to a bunch of random planets that he could show him where basically Omni-Man takes Alan on a grand tour to a bunch of planets where he basically shows him like these guys they can really fuck us up, so we really have to do something about it. We have to like we have to like vaporize their species and shit. We have to put them to near extinction level because we're way too pussies. They're gonna kill us all. So I didn't really think there's like any weaknesses to the Viltrumites before watching this episode. I thought they were pretty much indestructible. I thought the only thing that would be able to kill them is each other. If one of them just decided hey, maybe we should stop killing random ass species of different aliens and shit like humans and all, just to make them better. They're also their own people. We should let them grow, and then they'd start fighting each other. Maybe the good guy maybe would have won. It's like if I don't know one of Hitler's soldiers turned against him, decide right, we should stop the Holocaust and shit. I thought that was either one of the weaknesses or the big fucking space furry Viking man, Battle Beast, because he is able to fuck up some Viltrumites in the episode where Alan broke him out of prison, and he's also in the comics. This is insane. But he's actually able to go toe-to-toe with the King of Viltrum. He was fighting the King of Viltrum, and the only reason the King of Viltrum bet him is because when Battle Beast misses released all the dogs go attack Thrag, they injured him quite a bit. So then Battle Beast saw that he's injured, is thinking right, so I want to even the playing field. I don't want to have this advantage over you. I want to make this fair, because Battle Beast, he's all about the fighting the game. Like his favorite sport is probably UFC. He loves fighting. He's addicted to that shit like it's a drug. He will not. I think it's literally like a curse. He just has the thirst for blood and violence, and he will not stop until he finds someone who will kill him. That's like his main goal, to basically die. And he basically just cut himself open to make himself even with Thrag, and then Thrag ended up beating him, but it was a pretty fucking close fight, and that's insane. Bro was fighting the King of Viltrumites. So yeah, I thought those are the only two weaknesses for the Viltrumites, or maybe Mark as well, because Mark did end up being pretty strong as well throughout the series, even though he did get whacked around by his dad in the first season. He was different. He was half Viltrumite and half human. Basically, that gave him different abilities. It basically the Viltrumites, they don't have this whole fight or flight thing. They don't have adrenaline or anything. They're way too OP for that shit. They literally have fingertip slicing hands. They can slice through anything with their fingertips by just making it a karate chop hand and just slice you open just like that. There's fucking knives instead of fingers. Maybe Mark would have been able strong enough to beat them, but maybe not on his own. But and yeah, actually Mark does also have those adrenaline shit. So that's that adrenaline. He gets angry when he sees a close friend getting fucked over or getting the shit kicked out of him. That's something the Viltrumites don't have. But then watching the second one, there's different weaknesses that the Viltrumites had. Also in the episode, it reveals how fucking cruel they really are. So the first one is probably the biggest weakness. Actually, it is also what started depleting their planet, their population from billions and billions and billions to 50, bro. They they just got depleted from a whole planet, a capacity of people to less than a fucking school, mate. The Scourge virus, pretty much the betrayer. This fucking big gray beard looking ass dude. He basically he's the first one that woke up. He snapped back to reality. Up to goes gravity. He basically is the first one to wake up in the Viltrumite Empire and basically recognize, we're kind of evil pricks, aren't we? We're not doing a good thing, even if it is part of our duty. Basically shitting all over all these planets, so they can kill us and we can make the place a better place. I think this is really bad and all, and he decided to turn against it. Basically, what he did is he made a specialized virus that I'm pretty sure only affects the Viltrumites, and when it does affect the Viltrumites, holy shit, it does a lot of. It does it completely fucks their whole body up. And the way he got it into their planet is pretty smart. He basically had this. He basically had this Scourge virus disguised as an asteroid, and then when the asteroid get past into the into Viltrum's into Viltrum's orbit, into Viltrum's gravity and shit, it'll basically shoot out all these little evil PS5s that when they land in the ground, they start letting out this green fart gas that it kills it killed nearly all the Viltrumites. The Viltrumites, the second they inhale this gas, they start crying blood from their eyes, bro. They start bleeding from their eyes as if they're listening to some really shitty drill rap or whatever. And they also start coughing up blood. They basically start to die, and they were being depleted pretty quickly. I have no idea how Omni-Man survived. he like got sick, but I guess they like found a cure or something. Or I remember one of them said like, oh yeah, it started working really slowly. That's because like most of them were dead. So like maybe it just like started wearing off by then. And Mark was just lucky to survive that through that shit. But yeah, this would probably be the best week. This is probably like the best weapon to use against them. Because like once they inhale it, they can't really do anything about it. It's like a ticking time bomb until like they collapse and die, go to the afterlife. So yeah, that's insane as shit. Next one is a Space Racer's gun, bro. Space Racer's gun. Omni-Man, he had to bury this man alive. He had to build him a coffin before he even fucking died, just to get his gun. He didn't want to kill Space Racer because he thought his gun, self-destructed shit. It's basically connected to him like a day one. Space Racer's gun is literally his day one. It's his best, bro. When he tried to go to the asteroid and get that shit, flung towards Space Racer, like he's a magnet, and the gun, and the gun's just, connected to him pretty much. That gun is insane as well. It can, like, shoot, like, this fucking laser that goes through, like, multiple rocks and shit. And I'm fairly sure I heard this before. I could be getting this mixed up with something else. But I'm fairly sure a laser keeps traveling forever and ever and ever. And I can do, like, one, big Saturn ring around the whole universe until, like, it hits something. Or it can just travel forever and ever. It seems to be able to go through anything. That's an insane gun. Like, imagine all the boys that are being part of, the war against the Viltrumites. Imagine they find, like, the factory or whatever the base, wherever the place, that was making these guns is. Imagine they found, like, the source of this gun, and they managed, gave the gun to, like, each person that was in the war against, like, the Viltrumites. Imagine give a Mark a gun. He's already insane as shit. He's basically like Superman, but, like, kind of B-Tech power, because he has no laser rays, no frost breath. He's basically just able to fly and has super strength and super durability. Imagine giving him this gun. Although I feel like it would be pretty hard to shoot the Viltrumites with this gun, because it's basically like a super, sniper rifle. You have to, get a good shot on it and shit, and then pop their head open. But yeah, that gun is insane as shit. Or imagine, one of the creatures on this list are insane as well. The Ragnars. Yeah, the Ragnars are pretty crazy. Basically, they're like these alien dudes that have like Ninja Turtle hands, and they're able to fuck up Omni-Man and Alan the Alien pretty easy. When Omni-Man and Alan the Alien arrive, collect these guys, because they're basically like ice sculptures. They're basically frozen up, and Alan and Omni-Man are gonna take them back and put them like in a pen or some shit, and use them as like weapons against the Viltrumites. When they got to the planet, one of the fucking rubber-headed Eggman doofuses, they blew up the giant space plate or whatever that was blocking the sun, keeping the Ragnars frozen on their planet. When that happened, the Ragnars started to quickly unfreeze, and also when they land on the planet, the gravity is like so much more, denser, so much more heavier. There's so much more. Basically, you're so much more slower when you're in the gravity. It's like, you land on their planet, and it's like you're inhaling gas. It gives you like calories. It makes you more of a fat fox. It makes you more slow and shit. And these Ragnars, they were fucking up Alan and Omni-Man. Mind you, there's only like 2 people. But according to Omni-Man, when he and his research team, they arrived on this planet, these guys brought that research team to near extinction. Omni-Man was the only one that survived that research team. And those were Viltrumites as well. I thought they were the most OP. But Ragnar seemed to be even more OP than them, which is insane. Like, Viltrumites, it's insane when they have to, freeze the planet and shit because they're too scared that these guys are going to wipe them out. Like, some of these people, they have to, get rid of them because they were scared. Yeah, bro, they might just, end us, bro. They might just like, chop our heads off, and that'll be the end of all of us. There's actually, like, a planet they go to, and, it's like these other creatures. They're basically like these space camels or whatever, and they got basically brought to near extinction because the Viltrumites, they decided to fry them alive by bringing their planet closer to the sun, by basically burning them up and causing the great fucking drought on their planet, evaporating all their water, getting rid of all their water and shit. So then basically these camel space alien things would basically die out, and they're just like, they would starve to death pretty much because the Viltrumites, they were able to fuck up the Viltrumites. Also, when the Scourge virus also landed, these guys were like so, determined on keeping this thing a secret, as if it's like, revealed one of them are gay and they didn't want anyone else to find out. They were given orders to kill any other species that had knowledge of this Scourge virus, because they did not want their enemies to know about their weakness, because they did not want them to give them a chance to fuck them up. They wanted to remain supreme on top of like the species. They wanted to remain like the number one most powerful. So yeah, it's crazy when they had to do that shit. And like the Ragnars, there's like a lot of them, and like even one of them was able to fuck up Alan. Alan's pretty strong as well. He's able to go toe to toe with like Mark. I feel like he'd be just as strong as like a Viltrumite. I feel like he'd be like on the same level, on the same playing field, because when they were in prison, Alan was fighting a Viltrumite guard, and he was actually able to, get in a few punches there. He's able to put up a good fight. The only reason the Viltrumite started beating the shit out of him is because Alan basically gave himself up. He's like, right, you can, start breaking my ribs and shit, and because I want my best friend Omni-Man to come save me. I want Omni-Man to, do something instead of being a little pussy with his dick between his legs and doing nothing and just accepting his fate like he's suicidal or some shit. That's the only reason that Viltrumite got the better of Alan the Alien. And then these Ragnars were also able to, fuck up Omni-Man as well. They were, cutting into Omni-Man, and, Viltrumite's skin are, insanely OP. I don't even think bullets work on them, because they didn't work on the Mauler twins, and Viltrumites are more tougher than Mauler twins, so yeah, guns would definitely do nothing to Viltrumites. And they're able to slice in with their claws so easily. These guys are also insanely strong as well. They're able to jump really far. Even when Omni-Man was getting a good bit up off the ground, he's flying with his natural jetpack. These Ragnars, they jumped up after them like they had hopper boots on them or some shit. They just had the jump potion from Minecraft or whatever. They're able to jump pretty high, do a Hulk leap towards Omni-Man, grab him, and then bring him back down into the planet. Alan had to come back and save his ass. And these actually one of the creatures they couldn't get, because these guys were just too insane. These guys were just too strong. Although I will say they probably could have when your one, the blue Smurf alien woman who's going out with Alan, when she piloted this ship in front of the sun and the Ragnar started freezing up, Alan and Omni-Man could have went into the ship, waited for a bit, and then when they're more healed up, more better, they're more rested, they could have went back down and got these Ragnars as they were still frozen, because the ship was blocking them. They would have stayed frozen. They would have able to bring them on board. I feel like they could have done that, but yeah, these guys, they're pretty insane. The ones I had before this are actually Simlag beetles. These ones got the least screen time. These ones have probably the least aura out of all the Viltrumite weaknesses. Pretty much they're these far alien beetles that are they have this compound in them that you're supposed to extract, refine, and then you're supposed to put them in a dart, and you're supposed to shoot them you're in the jungle and you're trying to assassinate someone with a blow dart, and you're supposed to shoot them into a Viltrumite, and it's supposed to make them weaker to fighting. Basically, they just become weak, and you're supposed to weak to physical injuries. You're able to kill them more easier, I guess, which sounds handy. Now imagine, I feel a good way to end them actually would be combining the compound from a Simlag beetle, the darts, with the Ragnars, put some Viltrumites, lure the Viltrumites to the planet, or get them into an area where there's a load of Ragnars, and then just snipe their asses with the blow darts. Get those blow darts into their necks, and once they start getting weaker, the Ragnars, they'd be able to fuck them up so easily, bro. They'd be able to go through them like they're marshmallows or whatever, because the Ragnars are already, able to fight Omni-Man pretty well, and he was fine. He was in good shape. He wasn't weak or anything. He was his best form, and so imagine how easy it'd be for them to cut through them like cardboard if they were weak off of the blow darts. Now imagine also being able to somehow, this sounds dumb as fuck, but imagine somehow being able to train the Ragnars to be able to use guns. They have 3 fingers as well. Imagine just giving them the gun and they just start shooting the Viltrumites. But yeah, that gun is insane, bro. If you just find where that's made, or just be able to find out how to make more and just equip each of the boys with them, they'd be even more unstoppable against the Viltrumites. Also, another weakness they have as well is Battle Beast. He's able to fight King Thrag, so I feel Battle Beast would be a good member of the war against Viltrumites, and he'd be more than happy to do that shit. He'd be doing that shit as if he'd be promised a race if he kills a Viltrumite, because he loves fighting. And this is literally all about fighting. And if he's able to go toe-to-toe with Thrag, and I'm fairly sure the series are based off the comics, he's able to beat the shit out of any Viltrumite he can get his hands on. Imagine giving him the gun. That would be insane now. He's already unstoppable enough with his giant fucking golden mace. Giving him the gun, he'd also be able to have range on them. He'd still be able to fuck him up without the gun. He'd be pretty fucking OP with that gun. And then there's another character as well. Where Tech Jacket pretty much has this Cyclops laser, and he was fighting one of the Mark variants for a couple of days. He was able to take down Bro on his own. He came back from space. He came back from his 3-day holiday of fighting some evil kid from a different alternate dimension on his own, by the way. The other boys, when they were fighting, they needed help, or they needed to kill themselves in order to kill the Mark variants. This guy was able to do it on his own, and he survived. This laser thing is pretty insane. Oh shit, I can't lie. And then another creature that looked pretty sick, they didn't really mention it all though, and I'm fairly sure it is extinct or just missing or whatever. That's what your blue woman mentioned. It was dressed like a Nazi, by the way. It's like this shark thing. Like the sharks would probably be the most useless because like the Viltrumites they can fly, so it's like the sharks are gonna touch them unless you like attach some jetpacks or rocket boosters to them and just flame at the Viltrumites like missiles. But if there was some for some reason in the water, I don't know why they would be in the water. There's just like some people they need to eviscerate some like underwater fish people. Like they're the King Squirtle dude. I forgot his name. The King Fish guy in the first episode that's able to blast water. He's like Squirtle. Yeah, maybe they have to kill those species. Maybe those sharks would be useful against the Viltrumites again. Just chomp them up. I don't really know what they do, but they do look pretty sick, and they were on the list of like weaknesses, so they probably could just fuck up the Viltrumites. But yeah, pretty much that was the weaknesses for Viltrumites. I feel like the hardest one to use actually on the Viltrumites would probably the hardest weaknesses to use on them will probably be Space Racer's gun, because there only seems to be like one gun in this show, and he only seems to be the only one to know how to use it. So like if anyone else is getting it, they'd probably be shit at it. So be good if he only had it. And the Sinlag the beetle dart, because they have to make that shit into dart, and you have to like get a good aim, a good shot on them to use for Space Racer to use his gun and to shoot the dart. And these Viltrumites, they can fucking zip fucking left, right, forward, backwards like a fly, bro. They can zip and zoom pretty fast like the Flash. They can fly. So yeah, it would be pretty hard to shoot him. The best weapon to use against them is the evil fire gas, because that actually brought them to near extinction. But Omni-Man, when he found out the grey old one used this on his own people, he's like, right, so promise me you're gonna use this as a last resort. If you don't use this as a last resort, mate, I'm gonna remove your spine and fashion it into a belt, alright? So you better use this if everything else fails, okay? So yeah, Scourge Vibes would be the best one. Worst one would probably be the Blow Darts, because they don't even kill them, they just make them weaker. And yeah, that was just me talking about the weaknesses. See you later.